Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Ladd and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity Podcast, episode 294. Today, Pete and I are having a well-earned catch-up. Hello, there he is. Hello. Having a well-earned catch-up because we actually realised that we've not really done an episode, just the two of us, sort of chewing the fat, as it were, for a little while. So recent episodes that we've had, which hopefully you've listened to, and if you haven't, you might want to go back to episode 293 with Chris Ryan Fitness, all the way from just outside New York City in the USA. Episode 292, Akshay Shah, talking about In Nature We Trust and eating a very natural, raw food, kind of vegetarian diet. He was based in LA in America as well, and he talked about beekeeping and all kind of things environmental. Really interesting, that one, actually. Episode 291 was with Mr. Steve Bush, where we were having a catch up with him kind of 6.5 years after weight loss surgery and all the fantastic things he's doing. Episode 290 was Professor Jonathan Sakia, who is someone we will definitely be speaking to again. Retired surgeon, aviator, and all-round interesting chap. Episode 289 was where Pete and I discussed how to put together a low-cost strength program at home. And episode 288 was where we had Phil Early on from Newcastle, who was talking all about natural bodybuilding and kind of 40 years of consistency. So we've had some really, really varied guests over the last kind of month and a half, 2 months. And today we're having a bit of a catch-up. But the first thing I want to say is give a big congratulations to former guest on the Health Oddity podcast, Mr. Levi Strong from the USA, who, while I was away...
The Wichita lineman, as I like to call him.
Wichita lineman, who, while I was away last week, I got the information, or got the announcement to come out, that he has been invited to participate now at the World's Strongest Man in Myrtle Beach this month in April. So yeah, that's what one of the things we talked about when he was on the podcast, is that he is now going to be at the World's Strongest Man, or he wanted to be, and he is now going to be. So he kind of manifested that from the podcast, which is great.
That's amazing. Yeah, we had it was because he was on here as a guest. All of a sudden, he's at World's Strongest Man. I will say as well, if anyone's around this area in northeast Somerset or thereabouts, I think it's the North Somerset show, which is I can't remember where it is. It's somewhere around here, but it's on the 4th of May, which is the Bank Holiday Monday. We are going to that. Me and Sean, we went to it a few years ago, and that was when Martin Ty pulled 501 on the seated deadlift. Of which David Walsh, previous friend of the show, previous guest, has since pulled 701, I think. Anyway, which is ridiculous, but he was there. Gary was actually there, Gary Clark, before I knew who Gary was. And Big Loz was comparing the event, but it's an agricultural show. But they have it was the first year they did it. They did a strongman competition, and they've done it every year since, and I haven't been back since. So we're going this year because Paddy's going to be there. Paddy Haynes is going to be there as the I don't know, compare special guest, whatever.
Yeah.
So and Sean wants to meet him. So right, let's get down there.
Fantastic. I'll have to see what we're doing that weekend, that May bank holiday weekend. So will that be?
It's the Monday.
It's the Monday, the bank holiday Monday. May 4th.
It's every year at that time. So there's a gym called, I think it's called the Gym Revolution, or At the Gym, which is in Nailsea near Bristol. Which is where Brian England's around that area and all that sort of stuff as well. But and what's her name? Ellie, who was on as well.
Oh yes, yeah.
So they're all kind of around in Bristol and that sort of area as well. And then this is the North Somerset show. So, and they said that's where kind of these strongman shows kind of came from, didn't they? They came from farmhands doing things like strongman events at shows back like years ago. So they're kind of bringing it back to that. So it's part of the whole thing. And it was amazing. It was so good. They were pulling a truck up a field and everything. It was fantastic.
No, that's brilliant. I'll have to have a look at that. Certainly, that'd be great. And also, there was a few. It's Europe's Strongest Man this weekend.
Yeah.
And there's another guy who was David Pokolski, who's lives in England now, but he's Polish. Who I met at the Magnus Classic last year. He's got a call up to Europe's, so that's going to be really good. So yeah, we'll definitely
and
that.
Chloe Brennan lifted the Dinnies. Like
she did,
yes, because she'd done it once before with some replicas, I think, and she got a partial lift, and that's where I think she had some unfinished business, didn't she? So she managed to do. I think she did the Dinny splits first because she tried to lift them and missed it, and she was on the gravel and her feet just went like that. So because I think she got a full lift with the replicas out in Rogue. And then she got this. She said, when she actually went to lift the Dinnies in Scotland, she got what was called a partial lift. This time she did the whole, like you say, bona fide, and strapless as well. So really, really incredible. Amazing.
So really, really incredible. So no, that's brilliant. So that's a few well dones there for guests on the show doing great things at the moment. Now, there's a couple of things we want to talk about today. One being, I'm going to do quickly chat about the Strongfirst Resilient program course that I hosted at Unique Results in Chelmsford with, again, former guest on the show, Mr. Pavel Matchek from Prague. We're going to talk about Pete's latest, I won't call it a venture, but how would you describe it? Your latest
accident,
latest work in progress.
It was an accident.
An accident.
It's produced. I'll talk about it later, but the actual thing that I was doing is the reason why this accident happened and got produced. So
excellent. So it's just to whet your appetite. It's called. It's part of Walking Souls and it's daily meditations. Which we're going to talk about. I've just got back from a lovely holiday in the Canary Islands in Fuerteventura over Easter with family. So I want to touch on a little bit around routine and how I kind of found a routine while I was there. And actually what made me realize the importance of routine, because I actually was conversing with our coach, Paul McElroy, while I was out there. And I kind of said, I'm feeling really strong out here. I'm feeling really good. I'm eating really well. I'm sleeping really well. I'm training consistently. I'm resting. I'm not stressed. All these kind of things that we know affect training. And while I was out there, kind of everything was just going really, really well. And I felt great. And we know why. It's because of all the stuff that we say you should be doing all the time. But when you actually,
it's funny because I saw somebody was talking about mindset the other day. There's a guy who I follow on Facebook who's actually local to here. I think he's called Matt Nibb, and he does like mindset type stuff and things with people with mental health problems and stuff. I don't know him, but I just know of him. But he'd said something about people who everything in life is good for them. They've got a good job, a house, family, wife, kids, husband, whatever, all of that stuff. They're like, oh, I'm not worried about mindset. My mindset's fine. And it's like, it's always fine until it's not. So it's good to work on it anyway. And that's exactly what you've just said there. It's good to work on all of that, like not mindset, but routine.
Sleep, nutrition, routine, habits.
Make it a practice and do it like every day or every other day or whatever it is. Do it regularly. Even whether you need to or not, because at some point you will need it.
No, it's great. And then we're also going to touch on some revelations for you recently with training, which you've been doing.
Yes.
So we've got all of that to get through in about the next 35 minutes. So we're going to kick off. 35 to 40 minutes probably. Yeah. So we got a lot to talk about today.
It's a speed cast.
A speed cast. Yeah. So first thing being, we hosted this Strongfirst Resilient. Well, it was actually a 2.5-day course at Unique Results with Pavel Matchek, who'd come over from Prague. Who was brilliant as always, and then the first day, the half day on the Friday, was called the Imperial Program Minimum, which was the bent press with a kettlebell and like an Imperial kettlebell snatch, which was slightly different, which is more going back to the old time strongman lifting, which he did with his Enter the Dumbbell program. And it was so it's kind of almost doing like a kettlebell snatch, but with like a split snatch, so you're stepping 1 foot forward. And it was kind of how people used to lift those back in the old performing strongmen kind of days and things, which was a really, really interesting half day with him. And then the 2 days afterwards, the Saturday and the Sunday, were kind of 2 full days, all what they described as kind of building strength in the gaps. So it was kind of helping you be, we spoke about it on the podcast with Pavel, but it was kind of helping you be resilient and hopefully avoiding injury and building the body in unconventional positions. And obviously, as we know when we train, Pete, and as you know if you're listening, if you're doing something like a deadlift, or you're doing a squat, or you're doing an overhead press, or you're doing anything, everything's pretty good if everything is linear and in a straight line and well balanced, and you're on the perfect flooring, and everything's feeling good. But if it's when a lift goes slightly out of perfect alignment or off kilter, the injuries happen. With a deadlift, the bar may drift away from your body, or you may twist slightly and things like that. So it was really looking at building resilience through training in a variety of unconventional ways, such as things like there was a whole hanging series, there was a neck series, there was like things like Jefferson deadlifts.
Could you describe it as? Could you describe it as those things you see on Instagram and social media where people say you should not add load to this position, this movement or whatever? It's like you can if you do it progressively and carefully and appropriately, because, and Paul says this, any position can be loaded, any position. You've just got to have the strength to be able to do it. You've got to have the strength, mobility and everything to be able to do it. So this gives you it's kind of like it gives you, in a surprise situation, you don't hurt yourself, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And that was what he was. And we did things like the Strongfirst, the arm bar, the bent arm bar, all those kind of things. And like I say, the Jefferson curl, which is kind of like, it's not a deadlift with a rounded back, but it's almost like a Pilates roll down, really, but holding onto a weight in front. But the problem with all of these things is people see it on YouTube or Instagram, and then they try and do it straight away, usually with like a heavy weight, or it's like we've spoke about this before, when people get these barefoot shoes, minimalist running shoes, and they put on a pair of Vivo barefoots or Vibrams Five Fingers, and they try and go out and run a 5K first day they've done it, and they hurt themselves because it's a skill. Strength is a skill, and running barefoot is very different than running with a big cushioned heel. So in the same way, he literally said that these like Jefferson curls, you might start doing it with a 2 kilo weight, for a month, and then use a 3 kilo weight or a 4 kilo weight. And then, but what happens is most people try and pick up a 24 kilo kettlebell and do it the first time. And
yeah,
they hurt
it's
themselves.
it's like it looks like a deadlift. I'll see how heavy I can do that. It's like, no.
Exactly. So no, it was really interesting, but also things like neck strengthening, loads of stuff around flexibility and mobility, hanging from a bar, things like skin the cats, all that kind of thing. So no, it was a really, really interesting weekend. And one of my trainers at the gym, a newer trainer who's been with us about 6 months, Joe Carruthers, little shout out to Joe. He did the whole 2.5 days, and it was his first kind of exposure to Strongfirst, I suppose, in person. He follows them on social media and things, but actually was blown away by we joke about it sometimes. Strongfirst, and RKC, you get people who are really, really detail, like you call them movement Nazis or whatever. You have to do it properly.
That's why I put my presses in my stories and not on the reels, because I can't handle the comments on the I can handle it, but I'd rather not.
Yeah, but people can become very, very dogmatic and very. It's this way or it's no way. But what they do brilliantly, along with many other things, but one of the things they do brilliantly is break everything down into very, very small, manageable, progressive stages to learn and to teach. So, and with the Jefferson curl, for example, we were literally, just to begin with, Pavel was saying maybe you'll just get someone just going from the neck into the thoracic spine and then coming back out, just getting that movement there. Initially, you don't have to go all the way down, so really breaking it down into very small, manageable chunks for you to learn or for you to teach someone else. So no, it was great. And Pavel is always, such an interesting guy to spend time with, and such a lovely guy.
He's great because you said this. I think I'd met him before you, I think, or I met him around about the same time, but I'd seen him a few more times before he started coming to your place to do stuff. And you were, when I had him on the podcast, you were like, actually, he's really funny because he comes across very serious, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he looks like stoic and and all that, but he's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, he's really, really good. He's really good. And I think we both met him first in person at the Strongfirst Endurance at Lilleshall.
No, I think I met him at the FMS thing as well.
Oh, okay. Well, I was at that as well, wasn't I?
Yeah, I think he was at that, and then we met him at Endurance, and we met.
But he's such a funny guy. Yeah, he's a funny guy. He's a light-hearted guy. He's actually really kind of warm and kind of soft and caring behind behind that kind of that initial, like I say, that kind of, it's not a facade, but it's how he comes across sometimes on social media.
It's how he could be misinterpreted.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But no, he was brilliant, and we had a fantastic time, which was great. And I've been implementing lots of those things into classes that I've been doing, kind of movement-based sessions and stuff with members at the gym, which is great. Right, so let's move on to this happy accident that you've had with this Walking Solves daily meditations. Because I have to say, I started seeing a few bits yesterday, and you sent me something last night, and I looked at it, and I think it's brilliant. And I think yesterday I said, well, let's talk about that on the podcast tomorrow, now, because it was So how did this come about?
Well, okay, so basically, I've created it, but I've created it from the Tao Te Ching, right? So the Tao Te Ching is ancient philosophy written by a guy called Lao Tzu in 3,000 years ago in China. But it's basically like a self-help book, just be a nice person. It's all the things that self-help does. You've got your monkey brain and your frontal lobe. It doesn't talk about all of that, but it kind of does. And it's just like, be in touch with nature. Nature doesn't hurry, but everything gets done. Keep things simple. All the things that modern life kind of takes us away from. So I've read it. It's one of those things you can read it in an hour, but it takes a lifetime to master, right? One of those things. And I've read through it a few times, and then I started going through it in September, because I've read through it a few times and taken little bits away, like Be Like Water, The Journey of 1,000 Miles Begins with the First Step, all of these like quotes and sound bites and stuff. So then I started to do, in September last year, I started to do chapter by chapter. Take one chapter. So the first chapters are dead quick. So I used to take a chapter a day and just take it into my life. So I used AI. I got into ChatGPT and I said, right, give me the chapter 1 from the Tao based on I've got the Addison Lombardo version. So I said, base it on that. So it gives me the chapter 1. And then I said, give me different ways to interpret it. Right. Because it's open to interpretation, right? Especially where it's translated as well, because the language it's written in doesn't really exist anymore. Right. So it was like, right. So it gave me, there's various different ways, but the one that I took was, here's how to take this ancient philosophy that was written 3,000 years ago and apply it to modern day life. And I was like, right, let's do that. And this guy called Derek Lynn, and it was his, he's got several books on it, I think, but it just gave me like a synopsis of his interpretation of it. So every chapter, I'd have the chapter, the synopsis. So then I'd just copy and paste that into a document, right? So I've been doing that since September. So there's 81 chapters. I'm up to chapter 64. But what happened in chat was that the chat runs out when you're on a free thing, and it says, this one's run out. So I just started it in another chat and said, can you pick up where we left off? Which it did, but it didn't do it in exactly the same way. So it did it in a slight way, and then I refined it a bit, and then it gave me a sentence that was the essence of that chapter. And I was like, I love that. Can you give me that for all the chapters? And it went, yeah, of course I can. Bosh, there you go. 81 sound bites, right? And I was like, that is brilliant, but that's not what I asked for. It gave me like really short things. I said, can you give me a sentence? And it said, what you mean, like a timeless truth? I was like, that is brilliant. And it went, bosh, there you go. And it gave me these sentences, right? And then it said, do you want me to produce a question, like a prompt question for these sentences to take into your life? Because it knows me now, and it knows about walking solves, and it knows how I think, and not, people might get scared of this, but it's like, I've fed it lots of stuff. So it comes back with like, I think this would be good, and it fits with walking solves and the ethos and all that. So it gave me a load of prompt questions. And then it said, do you want me to create a PDF? So I was like, I could do. But I've been using this other AI called Claude, which I've been teaching like the same sort of thing. And someone else put me onto that. And I thought, well, I'll see what Claude says. So I just copied and pasted everything chat had given me, put it in Claude. Claude went, that's great. It really fits with how Walking Souls works, because I've taught it about that. And then it went, do you want us to produce an app? And I was like, yes. Okay, why not? So it just went, right, bosh. And within a minute or so, it gave me some HTML, which is basically a website. So I downloaded the HTML, clicked on it, and it gave me the app. So then I said to it, well, how do I share this with a lot of people? Because this is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And it just went, use this website, and it'll give you a free domain and all that. So I logged into the website, created a free account, dragged the HTML in, it went, bosh, here's your app. So then I could tweak it and put logos on it and like links back to the Walking Solves page and all of that, and change the fonts and the colors and stuff. I just kept asking it questions, and it kept doing that. So I've now got this thing, which is 81 daily walking meditations. So it gives you, if I open it up now, actually, it gives you, now the funny thing about this is I was saying, so the Tao is basically like, let things happen. It's effort without force, right? Put some effort in and let things flow naturally, but don't force things, because every time you force something, you create rules and all of that people can then say, that's not me, I'm going to go against that. Whereas if you just say, which is how this app works, how the Tao works, is you take it and you interpret it however the hell you want to interpret it. That is it. So it's basically just questions, right? So it's come up with this, and it's basically 81 days, one walk at a time, walking meditations, right? Honestly. And each day holds a theme, a truth, right? A timeless truth, a question, and then how to put it into practice, right? So you don't have to be walking when you're doing this. It just so happens we're a walking company, right? So the first one, mystery, right? So it's split into 9 different phases as well. There's letting go of control, softening the self, returning to simplicity. Simplicity is mentioned the most in this thing. Living gently, effortless action, inner clarity, quiet strength, wise living, and deep alignment, right? So chapter 37 is the one with nature does not hurry, but everything gets done, right? Everything is accomplished. So I go to day 37. You can do it day by day, or you can dip into the days, right? So this is part of effortless action, which is the phase, which is like there's several chapters in this. So it's day 37, non-forcing, right? The Tao acts without forcing, yet nothing is undone, right? So nature gets everything done, right? The timeless truth, when nothing is forced, everything falls into place. You put effort in and things will just happen. And this is how I've built Walk and Solves. I was talking to someone about it last night. I haven't told anyone what to do or anything. We go on a walk and people will ask, where do we walk? What's it for? And I'm like, you will find out what it's for you. Because I can tell you what it is and you'll think it's something different anyway. So it doesn't matter. So then you walk with, I let things unfold, right? And then the reflection or the question, what if I stopped forcing and trusted the process, which we've talked about. Look, you can't force an outcome. You can just do the process that gets you somewhere towards it, right? And then so that's the question and the reflection to take out on the walk with you. And then the practice is stop pushing a thought or outcome. So you'll be doing something, you'll be trying to force something. It's just stop and let it go and see what happens. Put some effort into it. Don't force it and see what happens. And there's basically 81 of those. So the thing is, it came out. So the Tao's all about that flow, effort without force, which is in the Tao, it's Wu Wei, which is effort without force. That can be interpreted lots of different ways, because some interpret it as non-action, which I think it translates directly as non-action. So it's like do nothing and things will happen. It's like, no, you've got to do something. So there's that. And that brings it to DE, which is kind of ultimate virtue, basically. So kind of just being a really good person, like just being the kind of soft, good person that kind of attracts people to want to be around you, and just being kind of like open to lots of things. And the funny thing is, the practice of going through that, using AI and going through and saying, this is what I want. I'm going to do this every day or every few days, depending, because some of them it'll take you I can take that into the next week. So the actual action of doing that, the effort of doing that has ended up in this without me even think. It took me about an hour yesterday because I've been doing it already. So it's taken an hour yesterday, but it's taken since September to get to that point. But I didn't even know that was going to happen. So within an hour yesterday, I was like, I've created this thing that I didn't even know I would. I didn't wake up yesterday thinking that was going to happen. I woke up yesterday, trained, sat down, and thought, I'm going to do chapter 64 today. And then it just came to me, just like in that one sentence. And then I went, okay, let's run with this. And now I've got an app, which anyone can have, by the way. Because
so you'll be able to post the link or something to that in this show notes or whatever on the podcast. Yeah.
Well, I'll give it out now as well, because I might as well. It is walking solves Tao, which is TAO .netlify netlify.app. APP, and that's it. Go to that and it's yours. And you can actually save it to your home screen as an app. And then so who knows what I'll do with that. I'll produce a book or something out of it as well. I will, like a daily journal, like a meditation journal or something like that, which is prompted based on the Tao. I'll have to do obviously I don't know. I actually met a publisher the other week as well, randomly, so I'll just ask him how to do it.
I remember years ago when they brought out the book, The Secret, the Rhonda Byrne book, traction book. I mean, that's going back 20 years now. And I know that was sort of everywhere. That was like a publishing sort of phenomenon, and they had the book, and then there was the film, and there was loads of spin-off things. And I remember getting one Christmas, someone bought me like a desk calendar, which is kind of similar to what you're saying almost, where every day it had a different chapter from the book or something on it. It was just a short, it was about the size of probably like a post-it notes, like in a thing. And I think you could actually take them off and, put them somewhere or keep them. So little things like that are really, they're great for gifts, and they're great for people to actually use every day.
We've spoke about this before. I mean, the Tao, like I said, I'm going through that, but there's things like, I've got the Sun Tzu Art of War. Yeah. I've got Confucius dialects. Is that what they're called? Not dialects. Yeah, anyway, I can't remember. But the word escapes me. But I've got that. And then, but there's things like the War of Art, Mastery, things like that are kind of like very, very short. The Daily Stoic.
Yes.
All of those things. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, but that's kind of harder to interpret. But those sorts of things, I love those because you don't have to read the whole book. You just pick something that you could open it and just go, I'm going to read this chapter, and you can take it into your day. Whereas, so with this, what it does is each chapter has got a theme, and you read the theme. You can go through the theme, and it says like effortlessness, and you might be like, that's how I'm feeling like today should go. So you just go into that one, or mystery, or selflessness, or simplicity. There's several with simplicity, so you can go, everything's complicated. I mean, I just need some simplicity. Click. That's what I'm going to think about today. The thing is, there's 81 of them, but you go into number 37 again in 3 months' time, and you'll have different outcomes from the ones that you had 3 months ago. So it's endless. And I mean, it's funny 3,000 years old, so it's endless.
It's funny you say that, because I did a video while I was away for my members all around people that you can't put a pin or pause your health and fitness, where people are kind of we've got a certain number of people who are like pause their memberships at the moment for, maybe they've got an injury if some description, or maybe, people say, oh, there's so much going on at work at the moment, it's so busy, I haven't got, I can't train. So I was trying to sort of say that you can't really just, and I use the quote that we've used on the podcast a number of times, that you can't step in the river at the same place twice, and I kind of said that people think that you can just say, well, I'll put a pin in this and I'll come back to it later, so I'll pause my health and fitness, and in 6 months' time, when things have calmed down, I'll come back to it. And it's like, you really can't do that with your health and fitness. It's something that requires a daily, like brushing your teeth every day, whatever. It's something you have to stay on top of. And I re-listened back to the podcast from a couple of weeks ago with Akshay Shah. And he said in it, and I put it out as a post yesterday, I think, that, in your 40s, your 50s and your 60s, you're really sort of paving your path for the life that you're going to lead in your 70s, your 80s and your 90s. And it's another way of saying, what's it going to look like in 20 years, or having that longevity mindset. But the fact that you just said there, you read a chapter and you go back to the same chapter in 3 months or 6 months' time, and you'll get something totally different from it, or you'll look at it in a different way, because you've moved on, your thinking's moved on.
The reason why I love it, and obviously I love it because I created it, but not really. It was created through something I was doing. But the reason why I love it is because most people haven't got time to think about this sort of stuff. So it's like, you don't need to, you just do this. What? Because people, what it's like when you used to go to the gym. Probably, and that's most people. They go to the gym without knowing anything that they're going to do today. They just go in, there's all this equipment, and they go, right, what am I going to do today when they're there? And it's like, rather than turning up with a plan. So this is kind of like that. You can just go into it without any idea of what today is going to bring, and just go, I'm going to do that one because that's how I feel today. And I think that's what people need, because they haven't got the bandwidth to think about this sort of stuff. Mostly, I have. But that's because I've been doing it for the last, I'm going to say 10 years, but like that was dabbling. But I've been doing this for the last 4 or 5 years, which has got me to this point of like distilling it down to that. And that's what most people need. Most people need a program for the gym, and most people need just something that can think about in a millisecond that morning. So rather than open your phone on social media, open your phone to this and go, click, I'm going to do that one and do that, and then go for a walk and do that first. Or most people can't do that. Most people have got to go to work or whatever, but do it at lunchtime or whatever. It doesn't matter when you do it, just do it. That
kind of leads us into quite nicely the thing I was going to mention, which was just kind of having been on this holiday in an all-inclusive resort in the Canary, and we spoke about this before, where you get certain people who go who go, and the mission is to eat and drink as much as they can
and
while
lie
they're
on the
there
beach and do bugger all for 2 weeks, which
to
is
get their
boring.
to get their money's worth, you know. So they're kind of the poolside bar or whatever opens at 11 o'clock, and you've got people waiting there at 11 o'clock and getting beers in, you know, at that
It's
time.
Benidorm, isn't it? When they leave the resort and they go, don't leave those walls. Things cost money.
Yeah, it's so it was. But what I love there is you mentioned the route, and it's the routine without. It's kind of what life would be like if I didn't have to work, you know, like, because it
Yes.
was great. It was like it was didn't set an alarm while we were there, which was lovely, but still woke up kind of about the same time every day, you know. And it wasn't waking up late, but it was like around, say, 7 a.m. maybe, you know, in the morning, just naturally.
See,
But it
you're
had
a
a
parent,
really,
that's late. For me, that's still early. Even though I do get up like then or before then, I have to set an
yeah.
alarm because I haven't got kids.
Yeah, what was good because it had and this is the other thing about sleep hygiene, and that had a proper like blackout like sort of blinds, and then so in the morning the room was actually pretty dark, you know, even though it was getting light outside. Um, so woke up naturally about 7 o'clock. Breakfast started at 8, so had an all, and I don't normally have breakfast in this country because I'm at work really early, and I tend to wait until lunchtime to eat. But went down and just had like you know, like berries and fruit and things and natural yogurt. And then on top of the natural yogurt, put some of that, had some of those, you know, that dried banana slices that are like,
Yeah.
you know, some of them, a few raisins, loads of natural yogurt and a black coffee. And it was absolutely, you know, that was great. And then usually probably like late morning-ish, I'd go to, I think out of the 9 days I was there, I went to the gym 5 times, and I did on 2 days I went and did a 5K run with Steph, my wife, and then 2 days I didn't do anything, didn't do any training.
I've got a who's this hotel gym connoisseur person, whatever, who was
Oh,
coming
someone's
thing?
reached out to me, yeah, because I was posting, I think because I was just tagging hashtag hotel gym or something,
Yeah,
and I was tagging the hotel. I think someone's got like a website which rates like hotel gyms or something.
that's
they
great.
they reached out to me and sort of said, "Can I use your photos? And if I send you some questions, can you answer them?" I've got to go back to them actually on that. But yeah, it's sort of like a hotel gym rating website or something for people who, yeah,
But you see, these are great because people look for that, don't they? Like if
yeah,
I'm going to stay in a hotel, because I was in a hotel once and the gym was literally a room which was about like 3 foot wide with a treadmill in it and a window. And
yeah,
that was
yeah.
the gym.
Some of them are awful. This one was quite good. It allowed me to do pretty much whatever, you know. It wasn't amazing, but it was good enough, you know, to be there. Um, so yeah, went to the gym or went walking, you know, lovely walks along the coast, and you know, and most of the time because I had the breakfast, I didn't eat lunch, and then dinner started at like 6:30, and I was really looking forward to eating my dinner, and it tasted absolutely lovely. And we were in bed by like, I want to say like 9, half 9 every night, you know, and the kids, because the kids were kind of, we had like an adjoining room, but the kids were going to bed, so and I was reading every night there, so I was doing all the things that actually you're kind of talking about, you know, just had that
Yeah.
time to appreciate my food, enjoy my sleep, do loads of steps, read every day, train, get loads of sunlight and fresh air, um, and it just made me think, oh, life would be brilliant if it's like this every day, you know. It's
Thing
like,
is, though, you can't like you can, but you can't.
yeah,
Most people can't. Um, do it like that every day, but you can fit bits of it into your day.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Certainly, yeah. The sleep, you know, they're going to bed at the same time every night and trying to sleep well is massive. Which, as we know, we talk about it a lot. The steps every day is it's not the same as walking along, you know, a beach, you know, with the sea next to you, but it's still, you know, get your steps in, don't you? You know,
It's still
um,
out being outside though. It's like it
yeah,
makes a huge difference. Because I
yeah,
was talking about this to somebody the other day about winter. I do more steps in winter than summer, I think, because I've got the dog and I can't handle it when it's above like 20 degrees. I'm out. I'm done.
mm,
Unless I have to go somewhere, I mean, I'm not out. But
yeah,
so in winter, I tend to do more when it's, you know, when it's it's colder.
Mm.
But most people in winter hibernate. They get up, go to work in the dark, and come home in the dark. And it's like if you can go for a walk at lunchtime, just for like half an hour or something, you've had some daylight, and that's you don't need much more than that really, and it'll change your mood.
Because one of the things I did, I did a post because I went. My mum was with us there, and she's 75 now, and we went for. Me and her just went for a walk one day, and it was about 45 minutes each way, so it was like a 90-minute walk. Along the coast to this nice harbour bit, and then we walked back and just talked the whole way, and it was really lovely. And she sort of said that she feels better. She's fitter. She feels better. She got more energy. She's stronger in her at 75 than she was in her 50s, because in her 50s she was really focused on career, and in her 40s and 50s she was really focused on career and bringing up myself and my brother, and all that kind of thing. But now she's really prioritizing her health and well-being. It's what we talked about, like with Oksay Shah, with Phil Early, with Jonathan Sakia, with Steve Bush, who's just turned 60. It's such a common theme, but it's really lovely that she feels like that. But like we say, and like we always say with guests, the sooner you can start, if you can start looking after yourself in your 30s and your 40s, it doesn't have to wait till your 50s or your 60s or your 70s. It's the sooner you can start, the better it's going to be.
It's funny because I see it all the time online. I see it all the time on social media and read about it all the time on social media. If you need to think about this now, you need to do this, you need to do that, and people see that and scroll on by. They go, yeah, no, but I haven't got time, and they know it, and most people do know it, but they just haven't got time. So it's like, how do you get it in front of people so they stop and actually do consider it for a second or two? Because then they can start, then it creates something like, rather than, yep, keep going, it creates a, yep, stop, hang on. And then there's a start of a thought, and then they move on. So at least that start of a thought is there. So it's now in your brain somewhere. You know what I mean? So
it's almost like A Christmas Carol, isn't it? With Scrooge being shown the future if you don't change.
But the thing is, he got shown that, but even some people can get shown that by the doctor. You're going to die if you carry on the way they are, and it doesn't change them.
Yeah.
It's the thing of having to hear it again and again and again and again. And then on one particular day at that exact time, it will hit you and you'll go, actually, I need to do something about this. You didn't need to do yesterday. You didn't need to do the day before. You're not going to need to tomorrow. It's today and it's now. And that could be at any time. So that's why it gets on my nerves when I see it all the time on social media, because it's like bloody hell, it's everywhere. But the reason why is because, like, that would have been me a few years ago, and it would have had to hit me on the right day. Whereas now I see it and I'm like, well, that's obvious, but that's the curse of knowledge, right? It's like, yeah, I know it's obvious because we did something about it, right? But someone else won't. And it'll get annoying to them until they actually go, do you know what? There's something in that. So it's quite funny, which is part of the thing that I'm talking about. I think I've got to think differently about that, because that is there, and I'm like, that annoys me, and it's like, well, actually, it shouldn't, because it's not about me. But it also is. So it's like all these paradoxes and conflicts and all this sort of stuff. But it's like it's not written for me. It's written for the people who need that. Not necessarily. Well, they need it now, but they don't even know that. And then eventually, at some point, they'll read it on the right.
What's really interesting, this is touching on. I know we said we're going slightly off tangent, but I think it fits. I did a marketing clinic, I think they called it, yesterday. I watched a replay of one of the friend of the show, Will Polston's things that he does, and there was a guy called Dean Jackson, who's an American marketing guy on there, and he was talking about how, when someone becomes like a prospect, when they're interested in something, and he was using examples of, I want to buy a beach condo, I want to buy a yacht, I want to join a gym, I want to get healthy.
Like what everyone thinks.
Well, no, but just examples. I want to get my roof redone. I want to, get my garden landscape, whatever it is. Yeah, I want to lose some weight, whatever. You think about it, and then you might start researching it, and you might even reach out to someone, and you'll ping an email to someone. But out of the people who do that, like a year later, 50% of those people will have taken, there was this kind of loads of research, 50% of the people will have sorted that out and done it. Not necessarily with one company, but with, if I've got to get my garden landscaped, a year later, 50% of people who reach out and are that interested to do it will have done it a year later. But when someone reaches out to you as a prospect or someone is interested in something, it's only 15. So if you cut the people in half, 50%, only 15% of those people will do something about it in the first 90 days. 85% will be 90 days or longer, you know? So when people reach out to join a gym or to buy a car or you know, whatever, buy a boat or buy a beach condo or get their garden landscaped, if they reach out to a company, usually the company will try and ring them once or twice or touch base with them once or twice and then give up on them and put them on like a list of, oh, well, they're not interested anymore. But they are interested, but it's just that it's not the right time for them. And there will come a time, a day, when it is the right time for them. And he explained that like branding was when they make that decision, you are the person in their mind who they will use to do it, you know, which is, which kind of is.
Because it's when, if it's gone 6 months or a year, they'll just start searching again and you might not come up. But if you're in, not in their face, but if you're in their mind somehow, if you've kept in touch, you're going to be the first. They still might not go with you, but you're going to be the first person to go to. Yeah,
because
that's this app.
Exactly. That's why it made me think of it. You know,
it came out of nowhere. But if I can get that in the hands of as many people as possible, it doesn't cost anything. But at some point, someone will. There's the link at the bottom for the Walk and Solves website where I'm trying to get people to do it in different areas. Somebody somewhere will see that and go, "Do you know what? I want to be part of this. I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna talk to this guy, or not. Well, it doesn't matter." Because at some point it'll be out there. It's just another thing to have out. It's like a business card.
Yeah, it's like an asset, isn't it? It's it's an intellectual asset that's out there, which is no. What we'll do now, let's touch on, because we've gone on a tangent there. But you're training with Paul. You were going to mention, which I think was interesting for many people, the way you kind of described it to me. But do you want to kind of just let us know kind of what's recently happened for you?
Yeah, it's funny because everything was going well until last November or something, and like pistol squats they were getting heavy and the volume was getting high and all that, and I just stopped. My hips just didn't like it anymore, and I don't know why. So I just said it to Paul, and he was like, right, okay, we'll change things up a bit. So he did, and we split out because I was doing presses, pull-ups, and pistols on the same day. So he said, we'll just split out like arms and legs or upper body, lower body, or whatever. Even though it's not necessarily like that, but we'll split them up. But then I was doing 5 days, and and it was quite a lot of volume of lots of stuff, and it's also getting quite heavy as well because I'm getting stronger. And it worked well while we were building up the reps and the weight and stuff. And then so that's been since before Christmas. And then over the last couple of weeks, so what's that, 3 and a bit months, over the last couple of weeks, I was just tired by Thursday. And then Friday, I just sent him a message, said, I'm tired today. I'm not training today. Because I don't miss days, but that was one of those days where if I do it today, I feel it's not going to work and I might hurt myself. Or I'm going to get frustrated and then get in my own head about it. It's going to make it worse. And then he said, okay, and said, look, can we just repeat next week without progressing it? Yes, we can. So we did that because I think you've done that before as well. And he keeps saying, he goes, I wish everyone was as patient as you and James are.
Oh, I do it a lot because I'm like, for example, I was away last week, like I say, and I was training in the gym, but I wasn't doing 100% the program. I was having to adapt things. So they didn't have kettlebells, so I was pressing a dumbbell and all this stuff. And he said, well, when you get back, just, if you can, do the week that I'd given you before you went away, you know? Yeah. So, and I've just done a bit of training today, and that's
because a lot of people will be like, no, I want to move it on. It's like, well, there's no point in me moving on to next week if I haven't finished this week.
Yeah.
So anyway, I did that, and then by Wednesday, I think on the Thursday, I was just like, I'm not doing the next 2 days. I need a rest. It wasn't necessarily needing a rest. It was just like quite a lot of volume. So he basically just said, right, we'll change. What we'll do is we'll change it up because this program has now served its purpose. The one you've been doing for 3 months has served its purpose. So we'll move it on, as into something else. So now I'm doing 4 days, which started this week. I'm doing 4 days with presses, pull-ups, and pistols on one day, and then assisted single arm push-ups, tiger bend push-ups, which is a tricep thing. So you're on your elbows like in a plank and you push up onto your hands. So it's a tricep thing, and curls which I've been doing already. But the single arm push-ups assisted. So I'm doing sets of 10 of those. And then the tiger bend push-ups were sets of 8.
How are you assisting? Putting one hand out to the side.
Putting one hand out with like leverage. 5 fingers down, and then doing a single arm push-up. So 5 sets of 10 each side, right? I haven't done those for a while. I haven't done tiger bend push-ups for about 3 years. So the first day went well because I've done it before. Yesterday I did all of those, and today everything is spasming around my shoulders. Because, and that's not a problem. It's beginner's gains. It's beginner's DOMs. It's whatever you want to call it. It's like, I haven't done those movements for ages. So today I couldn't train because I couldn't do the presses because my shoulders were spasming. I'll have another go tomorrow because it might have calmed down. But I'll just go back to Paul and say, and I don't know what he'll say, but I'll just say, look, this is how it went this week. So I'll repeat again next week because I think my body will now then get used to those movements. It doesn't take long, does it? Especially if you're trained. It doesn't take very long. And it's like, so hopefully next week it won't be as much of a shock to my body, if that's what you want to call it. So the thing is, so what happens, the reason why I'm saying is because this is in the Tao as well. Every ending isn't the end, it's a new beginning, right? So that first program, which I've kind of been on for a very long time, just the pistol, it was only the pistol element as well. Stop like giving me what I wanted. My body didn't like it anymore for whatever reason. I don't know why. So we changed it, and it was a new beginning of the next thing. But then that only lasted like 3 months, and then it's a new beginning of the next thing. So that's just how to see it. So the goal, I don't even know. Like my goal was the beast tamer. I don't even know if that's the goal anymore. I don't care. All I know is I'm getting stronger. And it's actually helping me with like mental clarity and all of that sort of stuff. So all of these things go together, don't they? So I'm trying to build something huge with walking solves. And I'm not going to be able to do that if I stop training and get tired and out of shape. It's just not going to work. So it all feels like it's coming together, but that training element of it. So today, honestly, I was in the shower earlier and I was like, oh, yay. It doesn't hurt. But you know, when you're doing that and your bicep just goes like, ooh, I'm doing this now. And then my arm will kind of go like that. I dropped my phone earlier because I just went, like that. So, and that hasn't happened to me for years. So so it's
just to wrap up and to touch on something that you just said there, which I think is really important and ties in with what I said about my mum, what I said about the people who try and pause fitness and so on, and also what you said there about patience is when you decide and when you actually finally acknowledge and understand that exercise, training, living a healthy lifestyle is something that you're going to do for the rest of your life, you know. And when you decide that, so we're both pretty close together. I think you said you're 50 this year and I'm 48 this year. So we're going to be training. Once you think, well, we're going to be training for the next 40 or 50 years, you know.
No.
What's that?
I hope so.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? But when you actually have that kind of longevity, long-term thinking that, right, I'm going to be doing this for the next 40 or 50 or 60 years, then you become patient because it doesn't matter what you do this week or the next workout, or, you know, it matters that you, like we said, that what you're doing in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s is paving the path for your life in the 70s, the 80s and 90s. So yes, we all want to progress. Yes, we all want to get stronger. But if you're lifting one kettlebell heavier than you are now in 12 months' time, that's fast enough. You know, it doesn't need to be, and again, ties perfectly with what you were saying. You're not forcing anything. You're putting effort in, but you're not forcing it. And that will give you that longer growth mindset that, yeah, I'm going to train for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, however old you are now. So it stops you chasing quick wins. That's what I think.
Exactly. So, two things there. You've just said if you're lifting a heavier kettlebell in a year's time than you are now, and you're in your 40s or above, you're winning.
Yeah.
You're beating aging because, like, you're already going backwards, but you're not. You're just going forwards less slowly, right? But you've just said chapter 37 in the app is the one I brought up earlier. What if I stopped forcing and trusted the process? That is it. That is like it. That is the reflection. When nothing is forced, everything falls into place. Is the timeless truth. I love that. It's one of those things that everybody knows.
Yeah,
but doesn't necessarily focus on because they want the result now. So it's things like that.
And they're so
reminders.
Yeah, and they're so busy. I'm busy as well. You know what I mean? But so busy, like I say, not got the time to really just step back and think about these things.
Exactly.
But no, brilliant. I really enjoyed that, P. That was God, we covered a lot there. I had some notes down as to what to talk about, but I think that was really good, really, really interesting. And yeah, we will also put in the if you send me the link to it, I'll put it in the social media posts as well. The link to the Walking Souls daily meditations, because I
think I sent it, didn't you?
Oh, you might have. Oh, I've got it. I can use it. Yeah, because I know you read it, but people just want something easy just to click, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's in the I sent you it in our group, which is me and you.
In our group, which is me and you. Yeah, the podcast group. Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so, especially if you are on Apple Podcasts. We would really, really love the review on there. And also, if you can give us a follow on YouTube, that would be great as well. Give us a subscribe, I think, on YouTube. We will be back next week for episode 295. Until then, see you later, Pete.
Ta-ra.
And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.